Today is an off day. We usually go live on Thursday, but decided to go live on Saturday because so many things, so many moving parts in the business. But at the same time, I had a special guest that I wanted to bring you today because I was very thrown back when I met this person. I love the model that he's using, his life goal and mission and vision that he has in order to help the community. But his name is Phillip Jones. How you doing today, man?
Hey, how you doing today, Carlos? Hey, everybody.
Amazing, amazing, man. Phillip Jones, he is you're an attorney, right?
So I work for a Big Four
Okay.
professional service, and I'm technically a managerial consultant.
You're a manager and consulting. Okay, so you work with you a PMS, a PSM, not a PMS, PSM, SA. Can you explain to us those
Sure,
acronyms? A
sure.
lot of people are gonna ask questions when we put in, we actually put it in social media today, and a lot of people were asking those questions. What is this? So actually, I had to Google it myself. But please explain to everybody what are your acronyms?
So I've been doing a lot of networking lately, and I tell people when they join my LinkedIn, hey, I'll be
Mhm.
the one that with all the letters behind it. What do they mean? So PSM means professional scrum master, right? So there's traditionally
Nice.
been a couple of thoughts in project management. One is traditional project management, where you can get your PMI or whatever, right? But there's a new thought about agile project management, which is
Got
really
it.
more for the everyday business world, saying that, hey, we're not going to do these super formal projects that may not even work. We're going to deliver value early and often. And part of the agile framework is called Scrum. And so the Scrum Master just means that I'm a Scrum Master. I can lead Scrums. I know how to do Scrum, and I can coach
Nice.
Scrums, right? The SCA
Nice.
is Salesforce Certified Administrator. So Salesforce is probably the lead in SaaS in the world at this point in time. Highly customizable. I would say at one point in time it was probably SAP. Definitely Salesforce now. And so I'm a certified Salesforce administrator. I've been in Salesforce for 8 years now, and I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing in my career without it. I would also say I've
Nice.
been given a lot of advice lately that get good with Salesforce because right now I've got more job security than I've ever had in my life. And then the SSOP is shared services and outsourcing professional. So you ever hear talk about BPO, business process and outsourcing, or back office processing, AP stuff like that? That just means that I'm a certified professional in outsourcing
Yeah.
and shared services, which is big because most companies will have a shared services centrally located to handle all their back process stuff.
Man, that's amazing. That you said keyword there in the SCA about Salesforce. One of
Correct.
the main things that we tell everybody, we teach about a lot about the operational side, how to sell, how to close.
Right. Right.
Um, One thing is that you got to understand in life is that you're a salesman or woman, or
Hmm.
you work for one of those.
Correct.
So you either got to decide which one you're going to be. You want to have control of how much you make, of your time,
Right.
the benefits. You want to have control of your future. Hey,
Right.
you need to get and learn sales.
Because
So
even
man,
if you start a business, right, a
yeah,
lot of people forget about they get too dependent on just a few clients, right? And they forget about
correct.
biz dev, right? And they don't do any
Mhm.
biz dev and they get that one or two client and they get stuck. What happens if that one or two client goes away or they find a better provider, right? So even if
Yeah.
you start your own company like biz dev, you still should be trying to sell to people to grow your business. So you're absolutely right, Carlos. So important.
Amazing, amazing. Hey, man. So I know that you have 12 years experience leading, right? So you've been a leader for about 12 years, developing and mentoring teams and companies, right? So you have a lot of experience in helping companies develop to start up to actually get off the ground. Because one of the things that we know we teach a lot, not only when it comes down to funding, there are so many moving parts at once
Right.
that a company or a business owner needs to learn. Because trust me, that's one of the things, one of the main things we see. Not only that a lot of companies go out of business because of capital, but they go out of business because they don't know the foundation that is required. Or a lot of people, when they start a business, they have this misconception that, okay, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to have control of my own life, my own schedule. Most of the time, I think it's about 78% of businesses owners make less their employers, their employees.
Yeah.
So that is a fact. So tell me more about that. Like, what has been your experience so far and everything that you've been doing for the past 12 years?
Well, one of the key pieces that and key opportunities I had in my life was we did a startup firm in the Virginia area in the 757 Tidewater area where we brought jobs back to America from India. So bringing them back offshore to onshore, right? And we
Oh,
were giving them
nice.
to military spouses and veterans, something I'm sure you can really relate to, right? And we
Amazing.
had Veterans Day, right? And so we brought back
Yeah.
originally about 108 jobs. And so the cool thing about a startup is, right, and even if you're trying to be entrepreneurial one day, a startup will teach you all the skills and how to flex muscles that you didn't even know you had and learn that are necessary to be an entrepreneur. Also, in a startup, you really need your foundational team, especially your leadership team, to really have some entrepreneurship values, right? And I mean, you hit on it, right? People don't pay attention to how much really capital and working capital you need,
Yeah.
managing your cash flow, right? I remember a story where we couldn't make payroll like a month in, right? And that's a
Yeah.
very scary situation, right? And we had to
Yeah.
have the company having to borrow more money, go through the board and get more money, right?
Yeah.
Things like leadership, lack of leadership, or bad leadership, right? Because you can have a lack of leadership, right? And then you can have somebody who thinks they know what they're doing and they're trying to lead you down a certain path, right? And it's
True.
bad leadership, right? I've seen that not so much in that situation, but in a lot of other situations. Um, and then, just strategy. So I'll tell you a funny story about strategy. And I heard this from a mentor the other day, right? Two
Yeah,
teams
man.
show up for a rowing tournament, a rowing competition, right? One team's been training for 6 months straight, every day, all day, 20 hours a day, getting no sleep. They're just prepared, prepared, prepared. The other team, they just kind of been drinking and preparing a little bit, drinking and preparing a little bit, right? Two teams show up for the rowing competition, right? First team, they're so locked in. They get there early. They're focused. They get in their boats and they're so nervous. All they do is sit there and just keep trying to mentally prepare, right? The other
Yeah.
team shows up. They take just 30 minutes, right? Right before the competition. They look at the wind and see which way is the wind blowing. They look at the water and the waves, right? And see, how the waves are moving. They look at the sun, see what direction the sun is in, right? So then the short story is that the other team who showed up just 30 minutes before, they kill the other team. They blow them out the water literally, right? And what that's called is strategy, right? They just took a second to see what were the conditions, right? What was the field looking like? What were
Wow.
all the things that might impact their actual mission that day? And so
Yeah.
sometimes I find that people don't put enough effort into strategy, and you
Hmm.
got some people who think they're really not strategic, and that's where somebody like a consultant can come in and help, because there are a lot of people who are consultants who are very strategic, and for my job, pretty much everything I do, I have to bring strategy into play.
That's amazing, man. That's a great analogy. I mean, a lot of people, and I've seen it a lot with so many. So a lot of people are analytical. There's really nothing with that. But you need to understand too that sometimes analyzing things too much will
Correct.
stop you in your tracks. Like they say deers in the headlights, right? You want
Correct.
to learn so much about everything that you don't take the action. And one
Yeah.
of my mentors said that the only way for you to move on and become successful is for you to take massive action. Yeah, you might
True.
take action. You might take the wrong action, but you might take the right action too if you take massive action. And one of the strategies that have worked for us, and don't get me wrong, we have learned throughout the whole process. That's one of the things too that we need to learn as business owners is that so many things that we do. I mean, let's just say about 90% of things that you're gonna do as a business owner may not work. But you need to learn how to tweak those, and now you just find out the only route that didn't work for you, but that's the way that you don't want to go any further, and
Correct.
find another one, or find someone like you said too. That's when a mentor, a coach, a consultant comes in, and that's
Correct.
the person that is going to take you from point A to point B the fastest way. But you
Correct.
need to be able to see that and understand and be completely honest with yourself and say, look, I may need to spend 2, 3, 4 grand, whatever you need to meet. But it's the person that's going to take me from point A to point B to what I want to be. Because usually that point A to point B is when people give up and they quit.
And also, you find that that point A to point B, sometimes you don't have that skill set, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, you know, you're trying to be an entrepreneur because you're trying to get away from corporate America. You want to do everything yourself, right? But you got to remember, you can't do everything yourself. Nobody can do everything yourself,
Yeah.
right? And so that's why it's really important to surround yourself by great people and understand that, hey, if you don't have that skill set internally, there are other ways to go out and get that skill set and bring that tactical skill into the fold for long term or short term. And there are people who know how to do very specific things very well. And that's why, I think that being a consultant is really cool, because I'm a person, I know how to do probably a lot of things really, really well. And I know what I do well and what I don't do well. And when I can do something well, I can step in and really help businesses and have helped a lot of businesses do a lot of different things.
That's amazing. You know what? One thing that I saw in your biography, in your bio, and something that I also want to tell others, like if you work for someone, you're not a business owner. Sometimes, like Philip said, Sometimes you know something that could help someone else. Sometimes you might know something that could help your boss, the CEO, the president of that company. And by you offering value,
Yes.
you'd be surprised how things can change for you.
Yes.
Usually, that's what you see in a lot of law firms when this junior associate, right, becomes one of the senior associates because they've done something so remarkable for that company that now they see him in a different light, not as the person that just came into the business. And a lot of companies are not do it. I mean, in our company too, we have someone that came in. He was the sales director. That sales director became the VP of a company because so much value that he was able to bring into the company. And I saw this in your bio. You actually saying this were your own words. You can grow horizontally, diagonally. You can grow downward, which result in you going further than you were before.
Right.
You can even grow deeper within your current role, position, and self. And that's
Correct.
something that brought me back. And so being in the military, so 22 years in the military, I had a master on organizational leadership. I was gonna go for my PhD. I wanted to teach, but I decided to go in business, the business route. But
Right.
I became a Dr. John Maxwell organizational coach, like leadership coach. And something that I learned from him is that he says that in order to be a leader, you don't need to be in a position. You don't need to be the head of that company, that organization. You can lead from anywhere in the organization. You can lead downwards, across, and upwards. And that brought me back. I mean, that's amazing. So, can you talk a little more about that? Because I love those words. When anything that has to do with leadership, I'm so passionate about because I've just been in the military. And to me, leadership is making others success easy.
Yes. Yes, for sure. So it kind of starts with growth, right? And a lot of people just think you can just grow upwards, right? And which, to your point, and which I talk about in my bio, it's not true. You can grow a lot of different ways, right? Sometimes people focus so hard and so much on growing up, they actually stagnate their growth. Because
Yeah.
like you talked about, you can grow deeper in yourself. And in terms of leadership, right? I think the most important thing is that it's the ability to get a group of people to accomplish a task or goal, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter whether you're the general, right, or you're the private, right? If
Yeah.
you can help your squad or your squadron or your company, right, or your team, if you can help accomplish the goal, which is to win or to make money or to whatever your goal may be,
Yeah.
that's what's important. And so I think to your point, what you're seeing, in a lot of startups and really in corporate America, right, people are looking for value. And it doesn't matter how much experience you have, if you have 50 years or 5 years, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you have all those certifications like me or you have no certifications, right? If you can add value to the company and the people around you, right? Which gets
Yeah.
back to leadership, that's what companies really need, right? And the other, so it's funny, a lot of times I go to these events, right? And I'm
Yeah.
one of the senior people there, right? And
Mhm.
it'd be very easy for me to just like try to play that role, right? But
Of course. Yeah.
honestly, what I found is like, especially in the firm I'm in now, we don't really even talk about what our positions are, right? The
Yeah.
expectation is that everybody there is going to show up and add value. And everybody should be trying to add as much value as they can, right? And
Yes.
sometimes you can have too many Chiefs and not enough Indians, right? And
Yeah.
so sometimes I find myself just it's okay to take a back row. Like I was
Yeah.
talking to my mentor. Sometimes you got to know when to talk and when to just be quiet, right?
Of
And
course.
when to just support somebody,
Yeah.
whether they're higher than you, lower than you, it doesn't matter. Like support each
Yeah.
other to try to accomplish your goal, and that's real leadership. Because to your point, you can lead from a lot of different ways.
And you know what? Communication too. Like one of the big things in leadership is communication. And the best way that you can communicate with someone is by listening, by standing down, finding out really what's the need, what are they trying to communicate to you in order for you to be able to be of help. Because if you really want to make wealth, you really want to make money, the best way to do so is by offering value to others.
Right.
As you offer value to others, you'd be surprised how much more pours into your life, your business, without any effort. But when you are all by you, I mean, people nowadays are very smart.
Yes.
You are Googleable, you are searchable, and they could find who you are. And that's
Right.
something that we also got to figure out. You got to be smart. And as we grow old, in age and everything, the new generation that is coming in, just don't look at them as okay, well, they are these young kids, and not. No, a lot of them bring a lot of value that
Right.
could, by you helping them, and that's something that we do in our company. We try to find out. We call it the PPF. The professional, personal, and financial goals. My
Okay.
goal is that your professional, personal, and financial goals aligns with what we have in a company, but also how our company can help you acquire or accomplish your personal, professional, and financial goals. Because
Right.
by me providing value to you, what are you going to do? You're going to now give more than what you would give to
Right.
the company, and you're
Right.
going to talk to others. Because the best people that can be the advocate for your company is your employees. And
Yes.
that's something that as a leader, we need to be able to understand. How can you help? I mean, if we're talking about, we go to the Bible, Jesus, what he did with his disciples, right? He gave his life for everybody, through the Bible. If you're not religious, I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to give you an analogy right here. But what I'm trying to say is that with his disciple, he was able to not only provide for them and give them value, and what they went out, they went to preach the word of
Correct.
God.
Correct. Correct.
So,
Correct.
what do you think about that, man?
So yeah, I mean, it's with the kind of the agile thinking, right, comes a type of leadership which is called kind of empowerment leader, right? So when people
Yeah,
ask me about leadership styles, right, I'm a
yeah,
leader of empowerment, right?
man.
Because so like we talked about, you can't do everything yourself, right? Even in companies, right? You got to empower the people around you to be able to go get it done, right? To be able to win, to be able to fail sometimes, but to be able to learn, right? And feel like, the task is their task, right? The mission is their mission, right?
Mhm.
Because like a four-star general told my father many years ago, he said, Jones, if you take care of the people will take care of the mission. And I found it to be very, very true and very, very accurate. And as I have learned, and because at the beginning I was an okay leader, but I wasn't a great leader, right?
Yeah.
Now people love working for me because I'm a great leader. And one of the reasons is I don't stand over people's shoulders. I make them feel empowered. And to your point, if you empower your people when you're gone or when you're not around, they'll take that mission or that message and go spread that message, right?
Yeah.
And it can have so much further reach than one person maybe spreading that message or trying to get that mission done.
No, sure, sure. And something that we got to keep as in mind as leaders is nobody care what you know until they know that you care.
Sure, that's
And
sure.
at the same time, as you say in empowerment, as a leader, remember you're responsible for everything. You can delegate tasks, you can delegate authority, but you cannot delegate responsibility. You are fully responsible for what goes right or wrong. And I think Abraham Lincoln. That's one of the biggest things that he did. Not only he surrounded himself with adversaries or people that think different than him, that made him a little more a stronger leader. But he always gave the benefit or the praise to everything his generals did right. But he always took the fault on when everything went wrong, and
Exactly.
that gave him the full respect and not only the full back of all his troops and everybody that's around them. So that alone right there, I mean, we gotta start history, and it's a great. I mean, even movies sometimes. I like to watch movies, and as I learn more about leadership, I see that and I see movies in the past, and I see new movies now, and I see how things work in difference. And now my mindset has completely changed to the point that I always look for the moral. Like, how can this
Mm,
be implemented in life? And that's
mm,
that's what we're looking for, because things that you see every single day, from being a family man, a family woman, to go to church, to be in the community, can be implemented in your business. But you have to be open, you have to be coachable. As a leader, you won't always have the answers. You need to
right.
surround yourself with people that have the answer, but also be open to understand that you're not always going to be right.
Correct. 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 You got to know. So there's a parable that he who knows not and knows not that he knows not is a fool, right? Shun him, right?
Nice. Yeah.
And so you got to know what you know and know what you don't know. And like in terms of consultants, the ones that I see are very, very successful
Yeah.
are the people who know what they know and they know what they don't know. And they're okay with saying, hey, well, maybe I don't know that, but let me
Mhm.
connect you with this person or let me go reach out to this person.
Yeah.
And because, when you're consulting, you have clients, right? And you only have to screw up with one client
Yeah.
before your whole career can they put you in the penalty box, right?
No.
So, you have to be very careful because, so what I'm good at, and in my last role that I was in for 5 years,
Hmm.
with the biggest medical companies in the world, IQVIA, my clients trusted me to death. If I told them the sky was green, they believed the sky was green. If I
Yeah.
told them they needed to take this technology upgrade and I needed to rush it in 2 weeks and we normally did it in 8 weeks, they did
Yeah.
it because they trusted me, right? But I built that trust over time
Yeah.
by being very honest. Sometimes in business, right? People think that you don't have to be honest and you can get away and you can finagle and finesse clients, right? But you
Yes.
pointed out there's so much information and people are smart these days, right? Like the
True.
bottom line is they can go find out stuff a lot of times on their own. So you're
Yeah.
much better off just being honest, transparent, and upfront and saying, hey, I either know this or don't know this.
Yeah.
And then if you don't know this, it's okay to say, hey, let me go try to bring somebody in who does know this and we can get this done.
Yeah. And people will respect you for it. People
People
would
will.
know that you have your best interests in hand and you're trying to help them. And what they
Yeah.
do, they're gonna come back to you. They're gonna say, "Oh, Philip, Carlos, help me out this time." Even though they didn't know, they brought me to the right person. And
Right.
instead of you actually searching and going to this person, please go to them because they will help you. Because they will be your best advocates and your best salespeople, people that
Correct.
you already helped in your past. Now
Correct.
we could stay in that same section forever. I love to talk about leadership and how about empowering people. But Philip, tell me more about you because I feel that you are passionate. Where you come from, how you get involved into what you do,
Yeah.
and what you do today. Why you continue doing it.
Yeah. So I'll try to keep this as brief as I can. So I grew
By
up
the
in,
way, what are you drinking over there? I'm drinking some good whiskey, brother.
I'm drinking, so it's whiskey. So I'm drinking some Canadian whiskey, right? And
Nice.
so I don't drink whiskey often, but I do
All
keep a
right.
bottle of whiskey in the loft just for occasions like this when somebody
That's
makes
awesome.
whiskey.
No.
So cheers,
Cheers, brother.
right? So like I said, grew up kind of in Southeast Washington D.C., right? Not a great
Mhm.
part at that time.
Okay.
Um, Nobody on my mom's side of the family had really graduated college yet, and so that was a big goal of mine, right? But I had like a couple plans in life. We're not going to talk about my plan A, B, and C, right? Well, my
Yeah.
plan B was I would get a degree from some prestigious university. I would join
Got it.
corporate America, and I would be an executive, right?
Got it. Got
So I
it.
go to Morehouse College, get my degree. I tried some other things, it didn't work out. Got in corporate America. I started off with UNCF, United Negro College Fund. Very passionate about giving back to minorities, things of that nature, because I am a minority, right? And
Got it.
so, growing up the way I grew up, and kind of growing up in apartments, right? You really want to make sure that you go back and give back because it's not something that I want to do. It's something that I'm
Yeah.
obligated to do. So, funny story. I got invited to Soho House last night by a
Mhm.
guy who wasn't even in New York, right?
Yeah.
For those who know, I just moved to New York last week. So I'm like, okay, well, I gotta go because I don't want to make this guy look bad. So I go.
Yeah.
I'm probably in there. I don't know. I don't get home till about 4 in the morning. Right.
Nice.
I was also invited to the 35th annual college fair that they hold up in Harlem every year. Right.
Nice.
It's the HBCU fair. I went to Morris College, so I know they're there. I'm obligated to go to that and help out the firm.
Got it. Of course. Yeah.
So I had to get up at 7:30 in the morning and make the track up to Harlem, right? And again, this isn't something I want to do. This is something I'm obligated to do, right?
Okay.
And that's how I feel about it. And so I live by a very kind of important concept in life, and it's called the look in the mirror concept. Okay.
Mm.
I don't judge myself based on what other people think about me or what other people wish about me or don't wish for me. I judge by when I look in the mirror, am I okay with my own actions? Do I feel good about what I'm doing? Do I think I can look in the mirror and answer to myself and feel good? And if I didn't go today, I wouldn't be able to look in my mirror for a week, right? So I'm going. And just to see that, right? To see like well over 3,000 kids that want to learn, that want to go to school. And there are a lot of other paths you can take, right? You can go be a rapper, right? You can go start your own business, right? You can get into crypto, you can invest, right? But I will tell you this. I learned some things at Morehouse College in the 4 years I attended there that have been invaluable throughout my life. I learned how to be a man, right? Similar to going to the military, right? There's some things you learn there, right, that you can never undo and never take, and nobody can ever take from you, right? And
Correct.
so
Yeah.
I learned some things. I learned how to show respect. I learned how to like take my hat off when I walk in the building. I learned how
Yeah.
to, just be a strong man, right? Just be a strong leader, right? Strong person.
Correct. Yeah.
And so, and another thing I learned was give it back. Morehouse is big. Martin Luther King going there, things of that nature. Morehouse is
Yeah.
big on giving back. And so I'm always looking for opportunities, especially, just joining a big firm, another big firm where I have a little downtime. My mind and my goal is like, I got to get my community service stuff done now because when I
Got
get busy, I might have less time. And so Like I said, last night we actually packed up some gift bags for the less fortunate, like over 200
Nice.
gift bags, just like essential stuff that are going to be handed out. And then today did the college fair, and so I'm looking for these opportunities to like give back to the community. Being in New York new, I want to give back to this community. It's something I've always done. Right before I left Virginia, I did two baby showers for two mothers in need who are about to have children. About over
Nice.
$1,000 each of well needed stuff like strollers and a bunch of different stuff.
Nice.
And so that's just something I'm always going to do, Carlos. And as long as God gives me the strength and I'm able, and a lot of things you got like realize it's not all about money, right? Like today didn't cost me anything, right? I expensed my
Yeah.
Uber home. I caught the train up. I expensed my Uber home. Like it didn't cost me anything. I think I paid
Yeah.
$2.50 for some snacks at the snack machine. They brought lunch for me. So it didn't cost me anything, right?
Yeah.
So just because you might not be super well off, you can still use your time. Your time
Of
is super,
course. Yeah.
right?
So valuable.
It's so valuable, and
Yeah.
you can use your time to do so much to help other people.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, not only by doing those things, and like you said, time is valuable. You could do so many things in order to change all this life,
Yeah,
but at the same time, the way that you feel after the fact,
yeah,
fulfill.
yeah,
That's the thing. And a lot of people try to make money just to have the dream home, the dream house. Yeah, that's a good perk. But also strive to make money to help others. You'd be
yes,
surprised how much more your money will stretch when you actually give back. The way that it comes back to you, and it's just, I don't know, something about the universe, something about the world.
um,
How you give back, it comes
yeah,
back to you. That's why like I may stress out by certain things that I got to do within the business, but we never stress out by money. Because
yeah,
some way, somehow, we help out, we give back. Like even this morning, for example, we were helping out. I was helping out a military member
right,
that she needed some help and everything. So she got one of our courses. You know what? And I see that she's going through some need that also will help her out. We sit down with her. I said, "Look, this is a $2,000 course, and I know you got money for it, but I know that the way that you are right now, you're not there mentally. Let me help you out. Let me walk you through it. Something that we don't do. We just went out of our way to help her out, and just with the good of the heart. I mean, we don't spend nothing back, but I know that by doing something like that, we're gonna be blessed some other way. So that's what I want people to understand, that whatever you're doing in this case, give your time back, help others. Whatever you gotta do, whatever you can find in your community, help your community. You'd be surprised how more you fulfill you'll be than just eating the best meal that you want
correct.
by helping others.
And I tell you something funny, right? Like
Yeah.
the residual benefits that you don't even
Yeah.
realize are coming.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
go to the event today, right? And I don't realize this, but a partner in the firm is there,
Okay.
African American woman. And so right now, like when you get into these big consulting firms, it's all about network, network, network. So I
Yeah.
just added a partner to my network that I'm on first name basis with, that now probably thinks highly of me. And I
Got it.
didn't, I didn't expect it, but I guarantee you that will help me at some point in time in my career with this firm. And so, to your point, you just be surprised the residual benefits you get. Or
Yeah.
another thing, right? If you're an entrepreneur, and at some point in time you're going to have to raise capital, right? By spending time in your community and giving back to different organizations and things like that, those will be tools and those will be things you can say when it comes time to raise capital. And you may bump into somebody else who's also helping out, who may be a person that can help you raise capital. So
Amazing.
I would
Amazing.
completely agree that if it fills you, there are some residual benefits, and then I mean it's just the right thing to do, man. To your point, there is a universe. I do kind of believe in energy and karma a little bit, and
Yeah.
what you put into, if you plant seeds, they will grow, and if you put good stuff out, you will get good stuff back at some point in time.
So in a way, you reap what you sow.
You do, very
All
much
right.
so.
All right, man. So, what kind of advice or consultancy do you think a business needs? So, let's just say I want to start my business today. What do you think
Yeah.
I should be looking for?
So I think there are a lot of tactical things you need to be thinking about, right? You need to think
Yeah.
about HR, right? Like, if you're going to have employees, you need to give them some type of benefits, right? So that may be something you need to think about, right? Tax, you got to
Hmm.
keep up with your taxes. A lot of people get in
Got it.
trouble with the taxes, right? Uh, uh, Capital, how you raise capital, right? There's a lot of different ways to raise capital, right?
Yeah.
What your structure is going to be. So, what technologies you're going to use. Like in the world we live in, right? Almost
Yeah.
anything you do in business, right? You're using some type of technology. Like right now, we're on this streaming technology right now, right?
Yeah.
And so, those are the kind of things you may already have right? That
Yeah.
technical skill or that tactical skill, right? And that's great. But if you don't have it, that is
Mhm.
a good time to look out for either big firms, depending on how big of a company you're starting off with, or small firms or individual contributors that you can go reach out to. Like for example, I had a mass business through the pandemic, and I built the website myself, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm okay with that, right? But a
Hmm.
lot of people I would recommend, if you're going to spend 40, 50 hours building a website, it really only takes about 10 to 20. You might want to consult that out, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I do social media growth, right? So like if you're looking to grow your social medias, you might just want to consult that out because you can
Mhm.
spend years and years and years trying to grow your social media. And it's
Of
something I
course.
can
Yeah.
do very easy, right? So like in my particular field right now, Salesforce, right? I
Hmm.
build in Salesforce, I run operations in Salesforce. If you don't know Salesforce, right, and you're going to go with Salesforce, and Salesforce does make it very easy for small businesses to use it and actually give away the software to a lot of nonprofits, right? You trying to build and configure your Salesforce doesn't make a lot of sense if you don't have
Yeah.
any experience configuring SaaS
Yeah. Of
applications, right?
course. Yeah.
That's something you
Uh-huh.
would want to consult out.
Yeah. No, and a little bird told me that you are a whiz when it comes down to social media. So we're gonna bring you back because we want you to talk about what you do. After doing some research, you the man. I mean, you surprise the hell out of me and everything that you do. But I mean, we definitely want to hear more about that. But let's continue on this. Helping a business. So now we know what kind of advice they should be looking for.
Mhm.
Now, what skills do you believe that they should be working on? Because one of the main things is, and this is one of my mentors says, so Grant Cardone is one of my mentors. I do real estate investment. One of the main things he says, if you want to start investing in something, invest in yourself. You should
Facts.
be the first investment
Facts.
before investing into your own business, before investing your own money into real estate or
Facts.
anything else. You are the first asset that you need to start investing your money in. So, what skill do you think that a business will need, or a person that's trying to go into business to start a business today?
Well, I think one of them you hit on earlier is leadership for sure. There are a lot
There
of
we
good
go.
books on
Yeah.
leadership. There's a lot of people you can talk
Hmm.
to about leadership. You should have a mentor, right, that can help you with leadership, and that person should
Yeah.
be who's a little bit wiser than you, right, that you can learn from. If you're going to have people working for you, or even if you're going to hire a bunch of consultants, right, you
Yeah.
should focus on leadership. If you're going to be the chief, the general, the captain of the ship, whatever you want to call it, you definitely want to make sure your leadership game is good because we talked about it, bad leadership or
Of
bad
course. Yeah.
strategy, right? Another thing I think that you should really try to work on is you don't need to be the person that's doing all the financials, but you need to have some financial literacy. You need to understand your balance sheet, your
Yeah.
P&L. There's a lot of ways you can make a P&L that will suffice tax needs, but you need to be able to understand that to a degree.
Mm.
Okay. And I think a lot of people, that's why you hear about, especially famous people, they'll find out the manager ran out for the money, right? Because they weren't looking at and didn't understand their finances, right? And those
Yeah.
people, those entertainers, they're a business within themselves, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so leadership, some type of financial literacy, you really should try to be good with it. Another thing that I think has been really helpful for me, and everybody not feel this way, but is Excel. I use Excel every day. When I was looking for condos to move into in New York, I had an Excel sheet where I had them all listed. I would encourage everybody to invest time learning Excel. And here's the crazy thing is when you ask any Excel expert, and I am an Excel expert, how they
Yeah.
learn Excel, they will all tell you the same thing. I taught myself. I taught myself.
That's
And you can just go on and find Google videos of how to do different things in Excel.
yeah.
And you can use those spreadsheets to do project planning. You can use those spreadsheets to do your P&L, to do financial statements. You can use those spreadsheets to line up tasks. You can use those spreadsheets to just take notes. Like when I go
Yeah.
into a meeting with the client, so you go into a meeting with the client and let's say 3 or 4, everybody kind of have different roles, right? There's a
Yeah.
talker and a leader, right? There's a person
Hmm.
who's there that really should be there to be the no man. That like if the client wants something you guys don't want to give, he can tap in and say, we can't do that, right? There should be
Yeah.
somebody there for the personality and the bubbliness, and they're there to kind of manage that relationship. And
True.
somebody's got to be there taking notes, right?
True. True.
So
True.
generally speaking, I'm not in a position to take. I don't take notes, but there are times when we could be in meetings and I could look around and realize nobody's taking notes. If I take notes for a client meeting, I'm always pretty much taking them in Excel. So
That's
that's
awesome.
another thing. So those 3 things, I would say leadership, financial literacy, and I would invest in a skill, like a tactical skill such as Excel.
Yeah. So you know what, guys, and if you're one of our customers too, when we talk about the 5 things that you need to know and you need to actually learn, and something that we teach, we also always teach about how to manage your cash flow, which you
Yeah.
hit, losing control of your finances, which you hit, bad planning or lack of strategy, which you're talking depth into it, weak leadership. I think we beat the horse on that one, and over dependence on few
Yeah.
customers, meaning the sales. You need to become great at sell, continue selling. You only gotta depend on that one or two customers if your pipeline is not full. So what you gotta do, you gotta continue the process.
Yeah.
Those that fell through, you know what? You're not gonna. They're not gonna change your whole process. But you always, one of the big things about sales is you always gotta have a process to follow up. Follow up is one of the big things when it comes to sale, and
For
that's
sure.
always, you always gotta do it with your customers. And always remember too, when it comes to sale, that the easiest sale is the second sale. And what I mean by that is
For
always
sure.
go back to your customer. Your customer that is already been there with you, that you kept happy, you gave them the process, and that person has success with you, will always buy the second process or the second value or the upsell that you have, because they already have a proven track record with you. Now, man, so I know you work with a lot of business over the past 12 years. Like, what industries are the best ones that, and you find more enjoyable?
So it's funny, like I've done a lot of life sciences. So some of my clients, and this is all public knowledge, have been Gilead Sciences, Boston Scientific, Alchemies. But I did a lot of work in the media space too. So I've had Verizon as a client, America Online. I've had Discovery Communications, like the Weather Channel. I would say that my favorite one was probably Time Warner, right?
Time
And
Warner?
Time Warner, yeah.
Yeah.
So Time Warner, when they were in Times Square, it was actually my very first experience with Times Square.
Oh, nice.
So I came up here. Another funny story. Out with actually the friend that gave me the passes last night, encouraged me to go last night. It was his birthday, so I stopped in Philly to celebrate with him. Got up
Nice.
super early to drive from Philly to New York. Got caught in traffic. Ended up having to change my suit in the car in my Camaro on coming to New York, right? And we get there, and they've got this spread. It's just me and my CEO and I, and they got this spread laid out like 20 people were coming. It's just great food, great desserts. And I'm looking around like, who's going to eat all this stuff, right? But it was a pretty big deal. And so I killed it. I absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
They bought the recommendation that we were going with. They added on some more service. And what it did, though, it really kind of showed my CEO that I could be a consultant. And that was how I really kind of got into consulting. And so whenever I think of Time Warner, I always think very, very fondly, because I don't know that I would be a consultant today kind of without them. And I mean, I had to present in there, Carlos. I think I presented for like 5 hours.
Really?
And yeah, 5 hours. It's about probably a 30 to 40 slide deck, right? And we're
Mhm.
talking through like it was kind of it turned it. The great thing about it is, and that's agile, right? You got to be agile and flexible. It went from a kind of selling to a brainstorming session. And we started kind of working through the things in that room, right?
Wow.
And so it was a little bit intense, right? It was very, I had to keep my structure, right? Because they were looking for a certain type of offering.
Yeah.
And it was probably the biggest client that I had gotten kind of in front of just by myself trying to sell
Hmm.
something. We talked about like biz dev and sales, right? And so great deal. And I always think fondly of them. And it's kind of funny how things come full circle, because now I'm back in New York. And so I actually
Wow.
went to Times Square, I think last week and last Saturday, and I thought about them. And so that's probably been my favorite. And I built something really cool for them too. So that's always good. I can't talk
And,
about that, but
and that's good. That's good. And again, let's go back to the whole process. You building value, providing value, brought you up. And remember, you don't have to be a leader from the position. You were probably middle management or lower, right?
so I was at that point in time. So I was probably higher management. I was two
Okay.
levels below than the CEO, right?
Yeah.
But my operations were so stable that he felt like so. Here's another thing.
Yeah. Got it.
If you want to grow in corporate America, you got to have your day job, but you got to get that under control, and you got to have your teams kind of running that. Because I think at that point, 30 people working for me, right?
Yeah.
My teams had well-oiled machine, and that gave me time to kind of step away and do this other things.
Yeah.
And now it's the manifestation of that. But I would say that to your point, it was a lot of trust that I gained from that person, my CEO, and now he's kind of like a mentor of mine. Actually, we had dinner
Yeah.
the other day, and so you just be surprised, like the engagements you do, what kind of value they can provide later in your life. And just one other thing I want to touch on, you keep bringing up value. So part of the agile framework says to provide value early and often. So traditional
Got it.
project manager, we're going to build for 6 months or a year, and you're not going
Yeah.
to get any value until we're done building, right? But what
Yeah.
agile kind of says is we're going to give you value in sprints every week or every 2 weeks, and so you're going to get value early and often. So I can't stress, and you keep saying value, I can't stress how important it is in entrepreneurships, in startups, in corporate America, in your personal life. Like, how do you spend your time, right? Like,
Yeah.
are you spending time with activities that are adding value to you? Are you
Yeah.
teaching yourself things? Like, I remember I got to a point where I was just watching Netflix every single day. All I could do was binge watching, right? I didn't have any social media clients. My main consulting job was so well taken care of, I didn't even do any work for that. And I just looked around and said, wait a minute, this isn't me, man. I'm not adding value to anybody else. I'm not
Yeah.
adding value to my community. I'm not adding value to myself. I'm not starting any businesses. We got to change this up, man.
Yeah.
And so when I really started studying and kind of getting my Salesforce certification and working on my Scrum Master certification, and my life has like just completely taken a different direction. And I'm getting so much value and joy out of the life that I'm living, these past couple weeks and months. And it's because of the things that I changed the things that I was doing and make sure,
Yeah.
to your point, I invested in myself,
Hmm.
value in myself, and now I'm in a position to give value to a lot of other people.
No, and let's bring it closer to home. If you don't give value to your significant other, that significant other won't be there, won't be
Facts.
around. So
Facts.
that's something else you got to do. Family, kids, wife, husband, whatever you have, partner. You need to give value to each other, just like the same way that we're talking about in business as a
Yeah,
leader and so
good
on.
point.
All right, man. So you know what? Recession is coming, and people are freaking out about it.
Right.
And one of the main things in that I tell people is if you want to make it through the recession, work on yourself.
Yes.
But also, which industries? I mean, you have experience with a lot of industries, and being 12 years in business, you've probably seen the ups and downs. Like, which
Yeah.
industries do you really think that are gonna be thriving? Just in case, hey, I'm listening to this and say, I need to start a business tomorrow, but
Yeah.
what should I go into? I don't
So
know.
funny, right? So I'm actually so when you're a leader in a
Yeah,
consulting firm, you have to pick an industry, right? So my industry
yeah,
right now, it says in my bio, is life sciences, right?
got it.
I would say life sciences are great, but I want to get out of that industry. I want to get into actually like commerce. So like retail, and I want to keep technology as well. So the two industries I would recommend are technology and retail. And when I say retail, there are so many books on how to build a website and sell something, right?
Yeah,
And that is a skill that you can have the rest of your life. And who knows when you might come across something that you realize, oh, there's a market for this. It may be
yeah,
these glasses, right? And you may
yeah,
come across somebody who says, I got a million of these glasses and I can't sell them. And you may find that, hey, you could just sell them for a little bit cheaper price. And instead of making 100 million, you make 10 million, but that's 10 million more than you had, right?
that's
So I
true.
would say that people should really be trying to look at things like Wix, Shopify, things where you can build online stores and sell things. And if at the very least you're just teaching yourself how to do it. And the other thing I would say, even though I know the stock market would disagree a little bit, but technology. Let me tell you something. Technology is
Yeah,
not going anywhere.
I'm not
You
going
talk
anywhere.
about recession is coming, and I would agree with you. Probably not by looking good. I've never been so secure in my life.
Yeah,
Facebook Meta just laid off a bunch of people, right?
yeah,
I could get laid off tomorrow and I would be okay. I'd find another job within the next 2 weeks. It'd be so easy.
yeah. That's crazy.
Actually, there was a company who I really, really wanted to sign with, and I
Hmm.
just wasn't prepared to move to New York at the time that I could probably go back to. Great company too, and I really love the people there. And it's because of, to your point, how I invested in myself, and I got all those certifications and stuff, and I did all those great projects that I probably at the time thought I might have been getting paid for this, like
Yeah,
time, right? But I invested in myself, and now I'm so secure. So I would Something you hit on earlier, I would say everybody should be investing in themselves right now. And it's not as expensive as you think it is. Like, they want you to buy like a $2,000 boot camp to get a Scrum Master. There are
Yeah.
ways, if anybody wants to reach out to me, there are ways you can get a Scrum certification by teaching yourself for less than $200.
Wow.
You have to be dedicated, and you got to be
Nice.
willing to work in the hours, and you got to shut the TV. Like I had to shut the TV off and stop doing a lot of other things, but there are ways to do it. So add value to yourself. I would definitely encourage technology, and I would say Salesforce for any professional
Yeah.
that's there. Like I gave this advice last night to some guys in finance. Like I was in finance and accounts payable and all that stuff. I got out of finance. The ceiling on finance is so much lower than the ceiling on technology. Okay. The bottom line is, if you're in finance, you're using some type of technology. You're using either SAP or Oracle or something like that, right? Learn that technology. Get somebody to bring you on a project that IT is probably doing on it, and then put your way into technology or IT. And it doesn't have to be doing code. I don't code, right? Yeah. I can read code and I can edit code, but I don't write code. Right? And so, or people work for me who write code.
Yeah.
So I would say, find a way to get into, especially if you're corporate America, IT, because of all the things. Now, if you're a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Agree, you're okay. Stay right there. Right.
There we go.
Right. If you have an MBA and you're in marketing and you're one of the best marketers that God has ever put on this planet, stay right there. You're okay. Right. But if you're in like finance, or you're just in like management, or like you're just kind of in something like that, I would encourage people, if you have the mind and if you're a smart person, I would encourage people to try to get into IT some kind of way.
Yeah.
No. Sell IT, right?
Yeah.
You can sell IT, right? If you're a good seller, you can sell IT. And I guarantee people who sell IT, I know people who sell IT, which is a portion of kind of what I do, make a lot more money than people who sell whatever else you sell in business.
That's amazing, man. And you know what? And when you put this in practice too, so he's asking you he's telling you to do certain things. And a lot of the times, trust me, we've done, like, if you've been in business for that long, and I've been in business for so long, I try so many things. Same thing. I try to go to school to become a coder. I found out, but I learned a lot. But I found out that it's not something that I love. Right. But evaluated experience. It's not only experience, it's evaluated experience. Things that now you know that you can put in practice, but you know that are not for you. And you are able throughout the whole process of taking action. Right. Finding now your path or where you need to go. So just take action today. Find out. Don't look at it as I wasted my time. No. This is a process that I need to go through. You got to enjoy the process that you got to take in order to take it to success. Because if you look at the end goal and not the walk that you need to take to the end goal, you will never take the walk.
And I'll tell you something else, right? It's okay to fail early. Like, it's okay. Like, there used to be the thought in business that failures were all bad. If you learn, so I think Nelson Mandela said, I never lose. I either win or I learn, right? Nice. You talk about taking that coding class. You said how much you learned from it. Yeah. One, you learned you didn't want to code. And that's a value right there. But I guarantee to your point, you learned a bunch of other stuff, about code that has probably helped you. And especially in the world we're living in, will help you in the future. So just because, you set out to do something or teach yourself something and you get in and say, I don't want to use it. Like, I know a good friend of mine that I look up to in Florida, and she owns like 8 properties, right? She has a real estate license, right? Yeah. Like real estate. She's never ever sold real estate, right? But that real estate license has helped her in buying her properties and getting good properties. Yeah. In her properties, right? So she's never sold a property in her life, right? Yeah. But that real estate license that she has and she upkeeps has helped her. And that kind of goes back to like you said, investing in yourself. And your mentor said, investing in yourself. And so I would say it's okay to, to fail early. It's okay to try something and figure out you don't like it. But I would still say try to go through with it or at least learn something along the way. And it's okay to just try to learn different things. And even if you figure out that thing is not for you, it's okay.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Hey, man, this has been amazing. Now, if we got listeners that want to work with you, because you're a very knowledgeable person, you can help people, you could coach them and guide them through the whole process of starting a business today. And if anybody's listening, trust me, you need them. Especially if recession is coming. You want to get on your feet as soon as possible.
Yes.
You don't want to go through the process of learning, because through the whole process of learning, you're gonna start digging and digging and digging and digging. Like one of the things, like Brandon Dawson, I don't know if you know who he is. Brandon Dawson. One of the main things is that the first law of holes is stop digging. Stop digging. So, and what we mean by that is don't dig. Don't find the person that has already been there, somebody that can help you, so that you could get to where you want to go faster. When you
Yeah,
have
so I would say,
success,
a
go
good
ahead,
way
bro.
to reach out. LinkedIn is always a good way to reach out.
Hmm.
I'm in a unique position where I have to be careful in engagements I take on because I basically have
Got
to
it.
compare any engagement to my firm now.
Got it.
Um, but LinkedIn is always a great way to reach out. And I will also say, there are something like if we're just talking advice, like how do you get a new job, right?
Yeah.
How did I get my new job recently, right? Like, what things should you be studying, right? I would always encourage the people to reach out. How do you get your Salesforce certified administrator, right? Those are the type of things, I could just sit down and have a conversation and I'll give you the best knowledge I have, right? Anything that's tactical, like all the social media stuff, that stuff is good because that's not a conflict. I would say reach out to me. We can sit down, we can work it out. I can kind of just declare it and go on because the great thing about the firm I'm with, they do love for people. So there's a thing called eminence, right?
Got
What are
it.
you known for, right? Like
Yeah.
as a leadership position, I am expected to build my eminence. So I think we talked about Carl, something like this helps
Yeah.
my right.
Of
And
course.
so I've been trying to play this dance where I can't mention the firm's name, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Okay, because they appreciate the fact that hey, I'm out doing things like this, trying to help people, try to give out
Correct. Yeah.
knowledge because your eminence is important. And I would say that to your point, a lot of IT consulting experience, a lot of startup experience, a lot of social media experience, a lot
Hmm.
of project management experience. I even had some event management experience. And so, there are definitely things I would love to get into, and I'm definitely easy to work with. And I love working with people. I love like just connecting with people. I love seeing people that have visions and dreams and helping them meet their vision and dreams. Because to your point,
Okay.
what you
Awesome.
sell.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's amazing, man. So for everybody, we'll put his LinkedIn handle in our descriptions, so that if you want to reach out to him, definitely go for it. He's a world of knowledge, and he definitely be able to help you out. Are you open to coming back and talk about social media?
I am. I am.
All right.
This was fun. Carlos, you're a
Yeah.
great
Awesome.
guy. I really respect what you're doing.
Thank
Easy
you,
to
man.
talk to, and you said it earlier, but it was a pleasure meeting you too. And I definitely sincerely wish you the best. And this is great that you're giving out this knowledge to people because this is something that you're truly doing and giving back. And
Awesome.
I appreciate your time, and I hope the people appreciate your time too.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for actually being here with us today. I appreciate you taking the time, and I see that you're doing so much for the community, and that's what we're doing today. And thank you for everybody that tuned in today on a Saturday. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a great day. We're gonna post not only we're gonna go ahead and do a couple shorts about a couple nuggets that we saw over here that want to help you out. So stay tuned. As soon as you actually, we'll post this by the end of the day. Make sure you go on the bottom on the description. You are able to see everything that we can help you. But at the same time, if you want a free business success camp for your business to find out if your business is lendable, especially if you're starting a business today, or you don't even have an LLC, S Corp, or C Corp, we could definitely help you out with that. Until the next time, guys, this is Business Funding and Whiskey. So cheers,
Cheers.
brother. Appreciate it. Thank you.